The challenges that I face in my writing career is very much an internal process in which I try to resolve various conflicts that happen in my mind and in my soul. I am Isa Kamari. I'm an architect by profession. Writing is my passion. My dream is to become a global writer. I started off with poetry, then I moved on to writing short stories. And after a while, I felt that both poetry and short stories could not contain the thoughts that I have in my mind, so I explored novel writing. The work has been translated into English, Mandarin, Urdu, Turkish, Spanish, Russian, Thai, Arabic. But I really like to have my works being translated into more languages. Because I'm a Muslim, there's some form of prejudice or even misunderstanding of the issues in Islam. I find it quite challenging to push my works into the global arena. I've always felt in the beginning that actually there was a certain bias towards English literature in Singapore. More focus and attention is given to English writing. I sort of put a challenge to myself to break that perception and to be able to produce works coming from a Malay community, to be able to be appreciated by readers in other communities, so to speak. When I am disturbed about issues, I go through a kind of psychosis, so to speak. But in the process of wanting to find some form of resolution out of the issues, and when I discover the way out, it becomes more like a therapy to me. I hope by having touch with my own mind and soul, it gives some form of authenticity to the issues which I face, that I try to elevate something which happens in my life to something which actually is very relevant and pertinent to the human experience universally, so to speak. Arising out of the psychosis, I underwent some form of catharsis. I work from maybe 9 to 6 as an architect, and I write at night most of the time. Even so, people are asking me how do I have the energy to be able to manage both. Architecture has got its own language, so does writing. But the aesthetic principles which govern both are the same. You talk about unity, you talk about balance, you talk about surprises, you talk about climax, you talk about contrast. Architecture helps me to think in patterns, to be able to have a balanced view so that it gives a richer and multi-layered understanding of the thoughts that I want to promote in my writing. In art, whether it's architecture or writing, what you need is focus. It's not a question of how much time you have, but actually what you do with the time that you have. I don't think by being a full-time writer, I would be able to achieve more. Both architecture and writing helps me to look into the blind spots in life. Typically, for example, when we look at a bus stop, why don't we think about it as a bus stop which has got maybe a library or a cafe attached to it? As such, life becomes very rich within that bus stop itself. That a bus stop is no longer a bus stop. I think that's how we should be able to look at life. Not something which is just a very singular point of view, so to speak, but try to be able to see the interconnectedness of life, that it gives weight to my work. I would like to actually think of myself at this point in time as somebody who has not reached the full potential yet as a writer. Hopefully one day I'll be able to be seen as a Singaporean writer which actually become a world writer. It is a big dream, I know. Hopefully it's not too far. I think we have a very healthy ecosystem for writing and writers generally in Singapore. For my work to be able to travel beyond the Malay region, so to speak, I have to have a strategy which actually what I term as a global strategy. What would make work from Singapore stand out? That it deals with problems or issues faced by the global communities. For example, in my novel Rawa, I talk about the displacement of the Orang Seletar, indigenous people of Singapore. Even though it's about the Malay community, it has got universal appeal because it deals with the same problems that other indigenous people are also facing. That is what I call the global strategy in my works. The local voice gives its authenticity, the global voice gives its significance. Find your own voice. You can start off by trying to emulate or learn from other voices. A writer must be able to craft works well, to produce works which are balanced, aesthetically pleasing, etc. Aside from the craft itself, what must come out is this honest and authentic voice.